You haven't got a fucking discipline problem. You haven't got a work ethic problem. You don't suffer from any of the things that the 90% of the average fucking losers, the sheep, the people who are just fucking so wrapped up in comfort, they don't care about even trying to become slightly better in life. You don't have any of those problems. And yes, you may have the symptoms. Yes, your business might not be growing just like theirs. Yes, your physique may not be improving just like theirs. But you've not arrived at that position for the same reason. You're working fucking hard. And you know how you know you're working hard? Other people tell you you're working hard. And that confirms what was guesswork in your mind, because it is guesswork in our minds as ambitious guys. Am I working hard enough? Am I really squeezing everything out of the day? Do I need to be doing more? What are other guys my age doing? And when other people confirm it, it's validation and it's a compliment. When it's working. When it's not working, when it isn't clicking, and you know you should have more for the amount of effort you're putting in, but other people keep coming up to you and telling you, mate, you seem fucking dialed in, you're so disciplined, you're locked in. It feels like a slap in the face. It's so fucking frustrating. And that's not directed at them, it's directed at the situation, because you can't really do much more on fucking paper. You're already doing everything you possibly can, and it just isn't really fucking moving. And I had this in 2023, right? It was the first year I completed as a personal trainer, like my first full calendar year. And I met a load of mates Christmas Eve in the pub. I hadn't seen them in ages because they all moved away after uni. And they all came up to me after I had a fucking pretty, ropey year, business-wise. You're killing it, mate. You're locked in. We see the content. We're loving it, etc., etc. And, on one hand, really nice compliment. But how I truly felt in that moment was, fuck off. Get fucked. Leave me alone. I genuinely wanted to go home at one point because people kept saying it, right? And I knew what was actually going on. I knew that I was struggling. I knew my business wasn't growing. I was losing clients because I didn't know what I was doing at the time. And so you have this like motivation to fucking get after it even more. And you just do the only thing you know what to do, which is more discipline, more sacrifice, less sleep, more hours in the business. Girlfriend gets a little bit less TLC. The business gets a little bit more TLC. But eventually that starts to fall apart. Then you've got to deal with the stress of that. You've made her upset. And looking back, it's just so obvious that would never work, would it? Doing more of what already isn't working isn't going to suddenly fucking work. 1 times 0 is 0. But 100 times 0 is still fucking 0. More effort doing the wrong shit isn't going to suddenly just make it all fucking work. Brute force and effort and volume, reps, doing more hours, even in the gym, that worked to begin with. When I started in the gym, I was sniffing coke and cat at least twice a week, smoking weed every day, drinking 3 times a week, eating Taco Bell, Domino's, all sorts of shit. Uber Eats got absolutely abused at our uni gaff. We barely even cooked. I didn't even know what a macronutrient was. I just turned up to the gym on a come down with a spliff and just fucking trained. And you know what happened? I built a physique. Because at the start, you don't need to know what you're fucking doing. It's the same with business. When I set up my business, I didn't know what I was fucking doing. I studied business marketing management at Northumbria Uni for 4 years, yeah? Didn't do one course, one module on social media management. But I had a fucking degree in it. And I still had no idea what I was doing with social media. I didn't know what I was doing with my business. But I still made money. Didn't know what I was doing with social media, but I still had a few posts go viral. Brute force works at the beginning. And what happens is your brain recognizes that pattern. It worked last time. It worked once upon a time. I have evidence of this. So, it's going to work again. If I encounter a problem or a stumbling block, the answer is just more effort. But that's an old tool for an older problem. And now you're at a new level with a new problem requiring a new solution, which is why you spin your wheels. And this is why you try harder and harder and harder, and it just doesn't seem to fucking move anywhere. And we all got sold a fucking lie. We all got told that the harder you work, the more results, the more success you'd have. And that came from school. That came from, the mainstream culture. Progress is not linear. Success in life and growing is absolutely not linear. It's more like a staircase. Periods where nothing's really moving, very frustrating, like the period I'm talking about now. And then these huge jumps. And okay, maybe it's not exactly like a staircase. Maybe it doesn't happen overnight. But it represents periods of time, right? Where you might have 3, 6, 9, sometimes even 12 months, depending on where you're at, where nothing really moves. And then in a short space of time, all of those problems are overcome. But each step is a different problem. This is important. This is what you've got to understand. Each step is a different problem. Not the same problem at different levels, completely different problem. So what got you up level 1 is not the same thing that gets you up level 2, which is not the same thing that gets you up level 3. So you're adding skills and knowledge to your arsenal every step because you're learning new problems or you're encountering new problems and then, figuring out new solutions. And the best example I can give for this, Xbox 360, right? That's how old I am now. Can't believe I'm now saying that in my life. That's how old I am. Xbox 360. Call of Duty, campaign mode, GTA, Red Dead Redemption. Oh my god, what's that fucking game now? What's that game? The Assassin's Creed. What a fucking game, by the way. Assassin's Creed is absolutely goated. Wow. Sorry, caught in a daze there. Campaign mode on these kind of games. The first levels, you're learning the most basic shit. COD, pistol. Next level, shotgun. Next level, grenade. Next level, sniper. Next level, RPG. And on each of those levels, you have to do something using the new skill. You can't pass that level without using the sniper to kill him over there. I just went fucking completely blank in my mind there. I remember there was one where you had to use an RPG to blow up a clock tower. Some shit. You had to use the thing to get onto the next level. If you didn't use it, you couldn't progress. And that's very much what this is like. Yes, you've got all of these things you've learned in the past, but there are new levels. And you have no experience at these new levels. So, you've outgrown brute force. More effort will work if what you're doing is correct. Right? Doesn't mean effort's bad. People at the top are still working hard. But that as your strategy, it doesn't work. It's like using a screwdriver on a nail or a hammer on a screw. It's just the wrong tool. It doesn't matter how hard you try. And I can remember pretty much being in that position where I just had to find the tool. I was so sick of where I was at. I was just... it was when I ended up investing in my first real business mentor. I had quite a lot before then, but nothing like on a one-to-one basis. But I was working 14-hour days, 7 days a week. It's not a joke. Like legit 14-hour days. Anyone that follows me on IG will see how early I'm up. Just up from the crack of dawn, straight on my laptop. Just work. Just obsessed with this idea of being better, right? And my intention's always good. I fucked up a few relationships doing this. But my intention was always right. You know, the reason why I'm working so hard was always with good intention. It wasn't to neglect a relationship or neglect a girl. But it's just this obsession that's very hard to get across to normal people of wanting to be better. But yeah, just working fucking 14-hour days, just slowly sacrificing fucking everything. Less sleep. I think I was averaging like 5 hours sleep for a few months in this period. Didn't see my friends. Didn't do anything really. Didn't really leave the house. Just working. And if I went out, it had to be fitted around work. Or if we were going somewhere, I'd have to get content. Or, you know, it just consumed me. It absolutely consumed me. And it got to the point where relationship deteriorating, family are saying to me, "Are you alright? You seem to be a bit stressed out. Is work okay?" And then friends are saying it, and it gets to a point where you have to just accept, not defeat, but just drop your ego and just go, I just don't know what I'm doing. And clearly more effort isn't working. Less money's coming in. I'm making poor nutrition choices now because my sleep's terrible. I've got less time. I'm not as organised. Constantly stressed. My training's nowhere near as good, which is my whole engine for my business, right? I'm selling fitness. I've got to be in the best shape of my life. Or I've got to be at least, progressing through structured training phases. And all of that is just slowly fucking deteriorating. And I just dropped my ego and I messaged my business mentor. Bro, I already had been consuming his content, right? But I was like, bro, just send me the link, mate. I'm not bothered for all this. Don't get me on a call and all that. I'm not bothered. It's time. It's time. Send me the link. Let's just do it. And yeah, we did it. And as soon as I fucking did it, it was just like, why the fuck did I not do this sooner? And that's happened with so many things. I think everyone can relate to that. Even just buying shit. Even buying shit that you've wanted to buy for ages. Or maybe it is like a service. Maybe it is a course or a skill. And you're just like, why the fuck didn't I do this earlier? Just immediate relief. And just getting your time back. Getting peace back. And knowing that you've got the right tools for the next level. You know, what you've been struggling with for so long. And it's like this... Yeah, it's just this sense of peace. You've got to look at yourself as the guy that's at the top of the staircase. What is the version of you who's 10 levels above? How does he act? The 10x version of you. Because you're on the journey of becoming him right now, right? You have to look at yourself now through his eyes, and you have to go, what am I doing right now that isn't in alignment with him? How am I spending my time? What do my habits look like? What habits do I need to get rid of? What good habits would he be doing? What about my screen time? What am I giving my attention to? Who am I hanging around with? Where's my money going? All of this needs investigating. You need to look at this. You need to expose yourself to the gap, right? Because that's misalignment. And once you get aligned, once you start to adopt the habits, once you start to watch the screen time and really minimize that and protect yourself from social media and the phone and the bullshit, and you eat better, you avoid all processed food, you get in the gym, you fucking training like an absolute animal, day in, day out. You're making time for presence and stillness and taking on education, reading books, audiobooks, podcasts, talking with people that are on the level you're trying to get at. Once you start to act aligned to who you want to be, even before anything's fucking changed, even before the world has changed or your life or reality has changed around you, even before more money's come in, even before you're in the absolute shape of your life, you're just getting in a little bit better shape, you feel like you're there. You feel like you're fucking there. You feel aligned. And that's how it starts, right? You've got to build yourself from inside out. You've got to look for the answers. Because that's what you've stopped doing. That's why your physique and your business has stalled. Because you've stopped looking elsewhere. You've stopped thinking, all right, yeah, I do actually really want to fucking progress. What do I need to do? and you've just fucking put your walls up and you've said, I can do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. But that doesn't make you any less of a man. That doesn't make you an idiot. You're accepting you don't know it all. One of my favourite quotes: the man who raises his hand is an idiot. No. The man who asks a question is an idiot for a moment. The man who never asks a question is an idiot for life. I fucking love that quote. One of my friends told me that. I just thought it's so true. So true. You don't know it all, bro. You just fucking don't know it all. And life moves quicker when you admit that, because now you're looking for alternatives. Yeah? You ain't got as much time as you think in this life. And you don't have time to waste being stuck on a solution for more than... being stuck on a problem for more than... Depends what it is, but I'd say a month. You know, if you can't figure out whatever problem you've got in a month, you just fucking get some help. That's a masculine thing to do. It's a very manly thing to do. Stop asking yourself, what more do I need to do? And just ask, what am I doing wrong? It's not self-hatred. It's not self-loathing. It's not like, oh, I'm a fucking failure. What am I doing wrong? I can't do anything right. That's not it. Factual. Stoic. See it for what it is. See it objectively. Right, okay, I'm working my fucking arse off right now, which I know a lot of you are. And it's just not clicking. The people who have what I want aren't working as hard as I am, and yet I can't get to their level. Well, is that not a massive red flag? So it's, the question is, what am I doing right now that isn't working? It's as simple as that. And from that exploration, from trying to find the answer to that, you will arrive at the solution. Ego blocks asking the right question. The ego needs dissolving. Most people who need help the most will never ask. They think it's defeat. The guys who need the help the least, the guys who are more successful, the guys who are at a higher level and have more money are in better shape, the guys who have a proven track record that they already know what they're doing, right, at a very high level, they're the ones that ask for help the most. Because they just understand this is the game, right? That's the correlation. That's why they're successful, because they don't fucking know it all. The more you know, the more you realize you don't know. And that is a fact. I've got two book recommendations as well off the back of this, guys, right? Ego is the Enemy, Ryan Holiday. Great book. Tying Stoicism and ego together. And then Growth versus Fixed Mindset, Carol Dweck. Not directly talking about ego, but it's essentially what ego does. It's the difference between those two archetypes of people. The guy who asks a question, the guy who doesn't. I know it all, I don't need help. Fixed mindset. Growth mindset. Okay, maybe there's a better way to do this. Maybe somebody knows more than I do. Maybe I can get some value from that guy. And, the way you've got to be looking at that and this whole idea, this whole concept, is over a lifetime where you're going to be. We're talking about one specific point where, maybe things are a little bit stagnant. What about over a lifetime? What about the butterfly effect of how life unfolds from you adopting this way of being? That's how you got to look at it, guys. Stop kicking the door down. You don't need to kick the door down. Just look around you. The fucking keys are there. Stick the keys in. Open the door. You're trying to boot it down with brute force. Doesn't work. Might have worked on the first fucking level 1, right? It's a shitty little fucking cubicle door on the toilet with a pathetic little lock. But now you've progressed. Now you've got this big metal door with deadbolts. You ain't kicking that down. If you just step back and look around, you'll see the keys, man. Just grab the keys. Stop brute forcing it. And that's all I've got to say today, guys. So, I appreciate you watching. Hope you got some value. Hope I've opened your eyes in one way or another. And as always, coaching links in the description. If self-mastery is what you're about, check out the link, check out the video. Have a look at the masterclass. If you're looking to go 10x in absolutely fucking everything and fulfill your true potential and not let this gift of life go to waste, and level up your physique, your business, your finance, your relationships, your freedom, creating a life that you actually fucking love to live, pursuing your passion, following your purpose, on a mission 24/7, then this is for you guys. Check out the links. If not, I'll catch you in the next one, boys. Appreciate you watching.